everybody and welcome back to another video by NovaPans Handpans where we teach you how to play the handpan. Today we're covering what will be called pattern number 5. You see I still have pattern number 4 on the page. Just a quick recap of pattern number 4. It was essentially this. Yeah, that's right. Repeated. And for pattern 5, I essentially want to develop this even further. And I'm going to teach you today this. Let me see. So all I'm doing essentially is continuing the same semi-quaver pattern, and from here on forth I'm just going to refer to the British terminology or the Commonwealth terminology for the music theory notation, just to keep it consistent and to avoid confusion. But if you're looking for the North American equivalent or European equivalent, or I think there's other equivalents, you can just do the translation of when I reference certain rhythms. So I was talking about how this particular pattern, pattern 4, is made up of semiquavers, which are essentially quarter of a beat note, quarter beat notes. And for pattern 5, we're essentially going to continue doing that semiquaver pattern throughout all the chord changes. So it's going to sound like. You might be wondering, with all these different pattern developments, can they only be played separately? In fact, the answer is no. If anything, it's recommended, encouraged to combine the patterns. For example, before I notate pattern 4, imagine you were playing pattern 4. Excuse me. And you'd probably want to play that maybe twice. And for effect, you'd probably evolve it into something a little bit more developed. And that's where pattern 5 might join or connect to pattern 4 a bit like this. That's pattern 4 and then pattern 5. So that's an example of how you combine pattern 4 and 5 together to kind of increase the suspense. By going, in a way, it seems like you go faster, but you're actually just throwing in more notes. So today is pattern 5. Let me notate that. And, I mean, let's do it all again, okay? Just for the sake of the lesson. So by now you should all know your simplified handpan notation, or in other words, where to position which notes and what numbered note they represent. 5 lines. And this is quite exciting because already we've covered 4 patterns and they're all related in a way. So you can combine them together to create some lovely unique songs as well. You know, whatever combination you like will allow you to create completely new songs. I will just redraw the handpan notation here just for reference. Got note 1 on the middle line, number 2 on the space below the first line, 3 on the line, 4 in the space between the first and the second line, 5 on the second line, 6 we jump and we put that between the third and the fourth line, 7 on the fourth line, 8th on the space between the fourth and the fifth line, 9th on the top. So how would I notate, how would I help you reference that? I'd probably write on each line here 3, 5, 7, 9. So you understand that notes on the line represent notes on the left, which are odd notes. Notes in between the lines represent even notes, which happen to be on the right of the handpan. And then we're going to draw the, percussion clef, because We're not referencing to any specific pitch here, it's just a visual demonstration, and we're going to be playing in 4/4 time signature, which essentially means 4 beats in a bar. Okay? So that's pretty straightforward. So let's get to it. Pattern 5. So I'm going to have to do that again, write that again. 3 and 5 together, with 2 and 5 together, which is good for you guys actually to learn and watch us as we make it as we go. 2 and 5 together, 2, 5, 9, 5, 2. So 2, 5 together looks like this. Got the 2, got the 5. Then they're played separately. So 2, 5, 9, 5, 2. Dum, 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 dum. And that ends on the 3. Well, actually, yeah. Let's just draw this first. 2 and 5 goes like this. Dum, 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 dum. And then it goes down 9, 5, 2. Also semiquavers. Dum, 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 dum. 3 and 5. So essentially it's the same as the first chord, but 2 goes to 3, so we put 3 and 5 there. And notice how this time we're not pausing like we did for pattern 4. We're continuing with the semiquavers. So we go straight into that pattern again, 3, 5, and then separately 3, 5, 9, 5, 3. Right, so let's draw that. Again, notice how these two notes have a double tail. You know, it's kind of like a, well, you could say it's a box even. And this one here, this note, the 3 and 5 by itself, has one tail. It's I'm trying to think how you would describe that to someone who's seen it for the first time. Essentially, the more tails you have, the more lines you have in notes that are connected, the faster their rhythms are. So in this case, when you've got one tail, I will just draw this for reference. So this is a crotchet, so it's a black note with a stem, or a tail, you could say. Or maybe that's just a stem and the tail is, you'll see later. So that's a crotchet, that counts for 1 beat. Now we've done this in previous videos, but I'll do a quick recap. Half of a crotchet is what we call, in the Commonwealth, as a quaver. That's essentially a half beat. Okay? A semiquaver is, as you probably guessed, half of a quaver. So that's a quarter of a beat. Okay, that's what it looks like. When it's by itself, it's basically a stem with 2 tails, and a quaver is a stem with 1 tail. A crotchet is just a single stem going up. A minim is a non kind of blackened out, it's an open circled note with a stem that counts for 2 beats. And then a semi-breve is just without a tail, it's an open circle. That stands for 4. Now, this is probably in the US and Canada referred to as a whole note. So semi-breve, half a note in North America, a quarter, an eighth, and a 16th. Whereas in the UK or various other Commonwealth countries, we refer to this as a semi-breve, a minim, a crotchet, a quaver, and a semi-quaver. And just to make things extra confusing, excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold. In the UK, when we refer to these notes, we say this stands for 4 beats, 2 beats, 1 beat, half a beat, a quarter beat. And I don't know if they do that also in the US. So that's where it gets confusing, because in North America, you probably refer to, say, a quaver as an 8th note, right? But we would refer to it as a half beat note or a quaver more popularly. So that's where it gets confusing. So that's why I'm just going to be referring to this all using the Commonwealth terminology for now. So we've got 2 and 5, 2, 5, 9, 5, 2, 3 and 5, 3, 5, 9, 5, 3, 4 and 5. So we're going to land on, let me just finish this. Land on the 4. We're continuing the pattern, right? 4 and 5 together, so that's 4 and 5 there. Yeah. 4 and 5 together, 4 and 5 together, 4, 5, 9, 5, 4. 4, 5, 9, 5, 4. We have to draw the stems because they imply the rhythm. You know, it's not just to make it look pretty, although they do look pretty. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a bar. 4 beats in a bar. 4 and 5, 4, 5, 9, 5, 4. And then essentially we go back to 3 and 5. Now for the sake of space, I'm just going to put a min in. And I'm going to leave it up to you guys to develop that. In a way, sometimes it's nice to not play every single set of the notes the same way. So by putting a 3 and 5 as a min, which in other words is a 2-beat length note, you create a bit of diversity and also suspense leading into the next repeat of the whole cycle. As you can see, we're repeating with the repeat marks. So all in all, it would sound something like this. Sorry, again. Notice how when I play that and I finish on the 3-5 there for 2 beats, it makes you feel like you suddenly stop, and it feels like something needs to be filled in that space. So you can probably do that a couple times before on the third time. So if we just put ×2, and then down here we draw another 5 lines. Essentially, I'm going to redraw the second group here, which I'll just do again for the sake of learning here. 3 and 5, 3, 5, 9, 5, 3. So that counts for 2 beats. So that's an option. On the third time, you can go down to here. That should be right, sorry, this should be right directly underneath there, because this is the third and fourth beat, which I'll just draw again here for reference. 3, 4, okay? Beats 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember your beats for remembering how to play. Okay? This is as close as we can get to traditional Western sheet music. Again, for anyone who's scrutinous, we are not using a pitched clef, we're using a percussion clef, and this is a visual representation of the handpan using what I've called simplified handpan notation, which I devised in a previous couple of videos you can check out. If anyone's got any recommendations or any suggestions, let me know. What's going to make it interesting is when we start to use the second space, the space between the second and the third line for percussion notes, for example. But that'll be in the next few videos, so check them out. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.